When a video game builds up a boss fight, it usually gets your blood pumping and you usually have to prepare for this epic showdown with the one in charge of your misery. But sometimes those bosses aren't exactly worth the build-up. Sometimes they disappoint. What is up, guys? Jimmy or Chaos. Welcome to Chaos Top 10s, and today we're going to be counting down 10 pathetic bosses who really did not deserve to even be called a boss. And I wanted to let you guys know, in the comments section, suggest a video game top 10 you would like to see, one that hasn't been put on the channel that you have been asking me for. I'm going to be reading the comments, and I am going to be doing some of your suggestions very soon. But now, let's go over some bosses that don't really deserve the title boss. This month's giveaway is for a new PlayStation 4 console. All you have to do to enter is drop a like on this video, be subscribed to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. And in the comment section, let me know why you want to win the PS4 and include your Twitter handle so I can contact you if you're the winner. The winner will be announced at the end of the month. Kicking off our list today is Mr. Sinister in Deadpool. Now, the Deadpool video game was a ton of fun if you're a fan of the character, but the ending boss fight definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The main villain of the game is Mr. Sinister, and the final boss fight with him is so lazy and so unfair that it's pretty much, it's lame. It really is. As opposed to giving you this thought-out badass fight with a villain, the game decides to give you a massive gauntlet of mini-bosses that you've already fought previously in the game before you even get to fight Sinister. When you do fight him, you have to fight a bunch of different clones of him at the same time, making the whole thing super unbalanced and an insane difficulty spike as well. It was not what anybody was expecting. At number 9, we have Rodrigo Borgia in Assassin's Creed 2. Now, there's no denying how great of a game this is, and a lot of people still think that's the best one in the entire franchise. You let me know if you do, but there's also no denying how underwhelming the actual final boss fight with Rodrigo is. And when you play an Assassin's Creed game and you get to the very end, there's a lot of hours and dedication put into it. So you want a spectacular ending or bang for your buck. After hours and hours and hours of build-up and badass acrobatics and strange magic, the game comes down to this awkward fist fight between you and Rodrigo. Seeming, it's just some ultra-powerful magical being fist fight with an assassin is definitely pretty strange, especially since he was just using magic attacks on you in the cutscene 2 minutes ago. So how did it end up being throwing down fisticuffs? At number 8, we have Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 9. Now, before you say anything, this boss isn't exactly pathetic for the same reasons as the other ones on this list. Most of the boss fights on this list are pathetic because they're easy, underpowered, or just plain boring. But Shao Kahn makes this list because he's a special kind of pathetic. He's blatantly unfair. Late in the MK9 campaign, you faced off against the dreaded Shao Kahn as Liu Kang, and the fight is so poorly programmed and unbalanced that it's almost become a joke in the Mortal Kombat community. His attacks do way too much damage, he spams moves that are almost unavoidable, and if he managed to hit you with the X-ray move, you can say goodbye to half of your health instantly. This fight can pretty much only be won by standing back and spamming fireballs. Does that sound like a badass Mortal Kombat fight to you guys? Standing back, shooting fireballs at someone until they flop over on the ground. At number 7, we have Cloudburst Tank in Batman Arkham Knight. Now, Arkham Knight was a great way to wrap up the Arkham trilogy, but I would be lying to you if I said that people weren't a little iffy about it due to the focus on vehicular combat. Arkham Knight was the first game in the series to really let us go around in the Batmobile, and there was, honestly, there was a little too many sequences where you do battle in it instead of on foot like we all like Batman to do in the first place. Part of why the Cloudburst tank fight is so hated is because of how overused the Batmobile was at the time when you actually fight, because it's also how lame the boss fight is designed. It's extremely cheap and one-sided due to the convoluted map design and the single dominant strategy to beat it. The Batman Arkham series is known for having boss fights with multiple ways to defeat them, but the Cloudburst tank fight in Arkham Knight just went against all of that for a lame, generic, and very unbalanced battle. It was very disappointing. At number 6, we have the Didact in Halo 4. Now, Halo 4 is a great story and it has some fantastic writing, but these were unfortunately overshadowed by the lame gameplay and level design, and both of these things were put on full display for your faces during the final boss fight with the Didact, which lasted, are you ready for this? around 6 seconds. Spoiler alert, sorry. Seriously, the final boss fight in Halo 4 is literally a one-button quick-time event that only lasts a few seconds before it's over. Now, honestly, I'm not sure if this even counts as a boss fight, but I'm putting it on the list anyway because surely 343 Industries should have known better than this. I mean, you build up this fight throughout the entire campaign. You give us all the backstory on the Didact and how powerful he is. You have the build-up with Cortana and her rampancy, and it all culminates to this battle with a main villain, and he's dead with the single push of the button. Come on. At number 5, how about everything in Duke Nukem Forever? That's right, everything. Duke Nukem Forever is unanimously considered one of the worst games ever made due to its outdated humor, bad graphics, awful physics, and level design, and the list goes on and on. But one thing that could have been the saving grace was if it had some awesome boss fights to make up for everything else. Unfortunately, every single one of the boss fights was absolutely terrible. Despite the fact that the bosses look and attack differently, the problem was you could kill them all using the exact same strategies because they were essentially all just big bullet sponges that you just shot at until they flopped over. Part of what made a good boss fight is originality and forcing you to shake up your playstyle and try new things and get uncomfortable. That's what makes it fun. This is a part of why the Arkham series is so loved, as many of the bosses forced you to play a different way than you are used to. Unfortunately, Duke Nukem Forever didn't get the memo, and all the boss fights sucked. At number 4, we have the third Berserker in Gears of War. The first time you encounter a Berserker in the original Gears of War, it is absolutely terrifying. You're trapped in a church with a huge unkillable monster chasing you that hunts on sounding you out to lure you, and you can't kill it. The second time you encounter a Berserker, it's equally as tense as the place you're stuck in is even smaller and more high stakes than before thanks to it being on a timer. But the third Berserker encounter is extremely underwhelming due to how basic it is and how great the first two fights were. The first two Berserker fights took patience, precision, and strategy, but the third one can be killed in a matter of seconds due to how large the area you're fighting in is and how huge the room for air was. So I guess getting 2 out of 3 is not bad, but it would have been great if they would have hit that trifecta and got all 3 of them. At number 3, the Joker in Batman Arkham Asylum. Yep, we have another boss fight with the Batman games at number 3. Arkham Asylum was full of awesome boss fights, and we can't be too hard on the Joker fight because literally every other boss fight in the game was done pretty well. But then again, the final showdown with the Joker is lame. The thing we loved about the Joker is how smart he is and how he can always come up with a way out of any scenario that doesn't involve just punching things the way other villains do. So how does Arkham Asylum end? Well, spoiler alert, Joker injects himself with some chemicals to turn him into the Hulk so we can just beat him up like he's some ordinary video game bad guy. Not only was this totally out of character for the Joker, but the fight itself was very lame and very generic, which was pretty surprising considering the rest of Arkham Asylum is absolutely perfect. This is becoming a Batman list. At number 2, Deathstroke in Batman Arkham Origins. Yes, yet another Batman boss fight coming in at number 2. Now, like I said in the last entry, the Arkham series has awesome boss fights for the most part. But when you have a series that boss fights that are that great, it unfortunately also serves to just highlight the really bad ones that are just kind of normal. The Deathstroke fight in Arkham Origins has a ton of build-up both in the game and in the promo material, and when you finally get into the campaign, it's extremely underwhelming. What should have been an awesome acrobatic boss fight ended up being a very repetitive, predictable, butt-mashing battle that seems to have had no thought put into it at all. I don't mean to bash on the Arkham series this much because it's an excellent series full of amazing boss fights, but unfortunately, like I said, when you have boss fights that are consistently really good, it also serves to highlight the really, really bad ones, and this was one of those. And finally, at number 1, if you guessed the number 1 spot, which I know a lot of you like to do, drop a like on the video and let me know in the comment section. The Queen and Aliens Colonial Marines. This disaster of a game should have been so much more. It really shouldn't. But unfortunately, it was just another lame cash grab by Sega that preyed on the fans of a great franchise. As if the game itself wasn't bad enough, the final boss fight was extremely lame and served as the poop-flavored cherry on top of this sundae. You find yourself face to face with the terrifying Xenomorph Queen and you get ready to do this awesome showdown with her when all of a sudden, it's over. This entire boss fight consists of you running from one side of the room and pulling a lever and then running to the other side of the room, pulling another lever, and boom, it's over. Plus, as if that wasn't lame enough, when you're running from one side of the room to the other, there are tons of save zones along the way where the Queen can't even hit you, making the fight feel even more low stakes than it already did. Now, I hope someone in the future sees the potential for the Colonial Marines concept because it was an awesome one and it could have made a great game, but thanks to the reputation the game got, I doubt we will ever get a reboot or a do-over. And there you have it, my friends. Those are 10 just pathetic video game bosses. They don't deserve the title of a video game. You guys let me know which ones should have made the list that didn't make the list, and there's a playlist below with all the other video game top 10s. If you guys enjoy this series, drop a like on it, turn on those notifications, make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you guys soon.